I think, that's really our consistency on the defensive end. I thought we started out, there were stretches of the game where we really defended. And they put a lot of pressure on you. I thought we did a pretty good job in transition. But pick and roll, didn't always score on it, but they were able to get some advantages, and we had some long closeouts. And they're very good at driving the ball. And, at that point, too, they started making some shots.
What did you think of this team's effort on the boards? I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit there, but they out-rebounded you, I think, by plus 15. Just where do you see this team?
I think, well, it's not hustle. Right? Like, our guys are playing hard, and I think, I think this is the first game we've actually had our whole team together. I guess Toronto, but Dyson barely played because he was in foul trouble. So we've got to continue to work. There's no shortage of effort, and some of those situations, individually on the ball, we've got to be more solid, and then collectively, a team like this, you really have to defend them with 5 guys because of their ability to drive the ball. But so we've got to keep grinding on it and keep playing defense and keep talking about it, keep working on it, and look at the areas where we can make the most improvement.
Both benches played very well tonight. Can you just talk about Alexander Walker and Okongwu and what they gave you tonight?
Yeah, we look at those guys as starters. I think, and they've been consistent. Onyeka's very poised when he gets the ball and is able to pass and play make and also score. And I think Nikhil's ability, defensively on the ball is really important for us. And, we believe in him as a shooter too. He's knocking down shots and making plays. And, we continue to, learn how to make plays for one another. And, I think those guys thrive in those situations. So getting stops, I think that gives us opportunities on the offensive end. And obviously, the obvious, some of the whether it was a long rebound or a 50-50 ball, we got to come up with those more consistently.
With the two big lineup, you played Kristaps and Onyeka together a bit, but mostly apart.
Mm-hmm.
How are you viewing that as a potential pairing going forward versus just staggering?
Well, it's kind of, I was saying, Onyeka is a really good player, and wanting him, we want to get him on the floor, and think those two guys together, they're both skilled. They're learning how to do that. Onyeka hasn't defended as much on the perimeter. And teams will cross match against us, so there's a learning curve for those guys doing that, and that's as I was saying, that's another component of our team that we need to continue to work on and cultivate and be better. But I thought the two of those guys on the floor together tonight were solid. Okay.